On the set, it started with a late-night whisper. Kirk Frost sneaking out of sight after a whispered phone conversation. His expression was filled with be concerned. Fans are taken aback. Is it possible that Atlanta's power couple, the father of Love and Hip Hop, had a kid that no one was aware of? When a social services file containing a hidden birth certificate was released by an anonymous whistleblower, emotions were running high. Additionally, it was discovered that the mother was already experiencing those exact sound stages. Hallways, the producers rushed. Conspiracy theories sprang on social media as cast members exchanged anxious looks. Was this secret child a twisted plot to overthrow Kirk's rule, or was it evidence of his double life? As insiders, the family was left apart. A current cast member whose on-camera relationship with Kirk is named the possible mother seems instantly imbued with new significance. Loyalty as every previous encounter is being rewatched for hints. Alliances are being put to the test, and questions are being raised. On what really transpired, however, no one can agree. According to some, Kirk was unable to break free from a secret that held him captive. Others think that the papers were falsified in order to cause controversy. There is no doubt that this discovery has rocked the show's foundation, and the hunt for solutions is only getting started. In his trailer, Kirk Frost slumped into the leather recliner. He kept playing the phone conversation in his head, as if he could alter the course of events. The only sounds left by the deadline were the buzz of power and the crew's distant murmuring outside. With the unexpected weight of doubt bearing down on him, he pushed his hand to his brow. The murmurs of a hidden kid is already circulated. However, they seemed unreal tonight. When fans learned that social services hosted an unclaimed sealed file under his name, a birth certificate for a kid born almost 10 years ago, Kirk's heart pounded as he recalled the previous week's moment in which he had joked and laughed about being a parent, never realizing that there may be a truth this explosive out there. In the meanwhile, throughout in the producer's office, Tasha K paced while gazing at the document that had been tucked under her door. The official certificate included the child's name, birth date, and most important, the identifier of the mother. Damningly, a current cast member, Asha, slid a quivering finger down the page. Sharing scenes with Kirk since season 8, attempting to regain her balance, the ramifications were astounding. A secret love affair, a scandal strong enough to shatter the allegiance of the cast in a pen. She pictured the reaction of the audience. Fans' emotions would spike when they learned that given that Kirk's ally may be linked to a secret he never revealed. They had remained. Yandi, Kirk's companion, sat quietly in the green room. His face was white as he came out. She grasped his wrist and looked into his eyes. "What's the matter?" With worry in every furrow of her forehead, she asked quietly. Speechless, he shook his head. When she gestured for him to sit, he lowered his head and sunk in. Then, in a hoarse whisper, he found his voice. "I recently received a call about a file involving our kid." Yandi's breath caught and her eyes widened as she attempted to take in what he had said. Kirk's visage flickered with anguish as he met her gaze. His voice cracked as he continued, "I didn't know. It seems as if someone constructed a life with me, and I didn't even anticipate it." When the rest of the actors learned of Kirk's predicament, they gathered backstage and formed a quiet ring of interest and worry. Kirk's toughest defender, Rasheeda, pushed in closer. "Tell us everything," she insisted in a quiet voice. Kirk looked at every face and gulped hard. He took a long breath. Scrappy, Bambi, even Erica Mena, raising an eyebrow. "Breath, a birth certificate in my name, and a sealed social services file," everyone in the gathering murmured. "Mother, is someone here?" A collective panic spread around the circle, dividing the family. The cast members looked at each other, anxiously, wondering whether their allegiances would alter when the truth was revealed. Ashley Kirks, the manager, showed up at the door, holding her notes tightly like a lifeline. Her professional poise briefly broken as she glanced from Yandi to Kirk. She added in a taut voice, "We need to handle this carefully." And Kirk gave a blank nod. He said, "I'm not even sure where to begin." Ashley tapped her pen on the paper. "First, we confirm the facts. Find out who submitted it. Check the legitimacy of the papers." This kid, growing up unheard, had always been part of Kirk's tale. And now, he felt like a stranger in his own life, and his eyes fell to his hands. Tension pervaded every scene as shooting got back underway, and Kirk found himself fumbling over lines. His thoughts circling with inquiries. Who was the mother? How long had she been acquainted? And how would the rest of the cast respond? If the connection was genuine, or just a covert affair? Fans speculated extensively online once they learned the truth, with some pointing to moments between Kirk and Erica Mena, claiming their lighthearted banter as possible. Some recalled a brief instance in Season 9 when Kirk seemed especially protective of one of the female cast members. Every gaze became a potential clue, every sight a new meaning. Kirk withdrew to the empty lounge during a planned break in search of privacy. He browsed through his phone, past fan theories and congratulations, until he came across it. A private, direct message from an anonymous account with a blurry picture of a little hand gripping Kirk's finger and the words, "Get to know your daughter," below it. Confusion, anxiety, and sorrow were among the emotions that swept through him. Tears clogged his throat, and he squeezed the picture to his chest as if he wanted to take in whatever truth it contained. And he was caught between anger at the deceit and a strong desire to the kid he had never met. Meanwhile, rumors grew out of hand and became heated arguments among certain cast members, joined Kirk in pledging to find the culprit behind the hidden file. While some muttered warnings that revealing the issue would ruin careers, Mendez looked at Yandy and scowled while crossing his arms and watching Kirk's trailer door slam shut. The show's washing machine made them realize that their relationship with Kirk was going to be put to the test in unexpected ways. The apology hurt, but he couldn't tell. It implied that someone he knew was sincere enough to feel bad about what they had done. It stayed veiled under dread. Kirk came out of his trailer with a fresh sense of resolution as dawn dawned over the set, illuminating the sky with delicate golden colors. "I found the caseworker," he said softly to Yandy, who was waiting with a worried but supportive face. "This afternoon, we're getting together." Yandy took his hand and said firmly, "I'll be there." Together, they made their way to the makeup chair, fighting against secrets that might destroy all they had worked so hard to achieve. As the Kirk gazed at his mirror, steeling himself as the makeup artist applied powder on his forehead, preparing him to face his greatest life secret. As the cameras rolled, the crew asked for silence on the set, and he swore to confront the truth no matter who heard him. The script called for a light-hearted performance, and Kirk took his place with his heart racing, not from nervousness, but from the excitement of what was ahead. But Kirk improvised, his phrases faltering, his eyes fixed resolutely on the camera. His voice was firm as he remarked, "Sometimes the biggest surprises aren't on the script, since they're written in unexpected places." "Cut," the director indicated, and a tense silence descended over the stage. Kirk was aware that the drama was only getting started and the ovation was still resonating faintly behind Kirk as he left the stage and entered a quiet hallway, realizing that the person who had the secret was closer than anybody had thought. The hallway lights buzzed above, and he grasped the caseworker's contact information. His pulse thumping with a combination of dread and adrenaline, Yandy was waiting nearby, creating lengthy shadows that seemed to flicker with each step he made. The coroner put her hand in his and gave a soothing squeeze. "We'll find the truth," she whispered. Kirk nodded, but his determination was tempered by uncertainty. Every new discovery drew him farther into his bewilderment, and the mystery surrounding his child's identity seemed like quicksand. Kirk's manager, Ashley, had set up a private meeting between Kirk and the caseworker, so they headed to the production parking lot, watched the crew members pass by in the rows of vehicles, unaware of the storm that was building all around him. And when he saw a dusty SUV idling at the far end, he felt a glimmer of hope. The caseworker, a middle-aged lady with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor, emerged and walked cautiously toward them. Kirk murmured softly, "Thank you for meeting me," and the lady nodded while looking about as if anticipating secret cameras. With a soft but authoritative tone, she said, "I know you have questions about a sealed file." Kirk gulped. He said, "I need to know if it's real." They both rested on leather seats that revealed the identity of the mother inside the SUV. The caseworker flipped as the windows, which were tinted to provide concealment from inquisitive eyes, groaned beneath their weight. Kirk's breath hitched as he saw the handwriting on the flap of a little letter that was stamped with the department seal. When she opened her briefcase, the lady carefully slid the package over the center desk, and Kirk raised the flap to show a copy of the birth certificate that had been leaked. Original file, inexact official letters that still appeared surreal. The mother's name, the child's name, and the date of birth were entered. Yandy moved forward and looked over his shoulder as he blinked, his eyesight whirling. "Marissa Cole," she whispered. There was a hint of uncertainty in her voice. Kirk let out a harsh sigh. He had never heard of Marissa Cole from the headlines. She had just joined the program and was a current cast member. The caseworker went on, "Marissa got in touch with the organization. Under pressure, she requested that the file be kept confidential until the father was informed. She moved on when she didn't hear from him." Kirk's thoughts were racing. He had seen scenes with Marissa Cole at photo shoots, meals, and even a few off-camera giggles. He recalled her soft grin, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear in times of anxiety. He had never had any suspicions. "Why seal the file?" he said, his voice constricted. The caseworker softly tapped her fingertips. She was afraid of the consequences for herself since the kid. But before disclosing the truth, she wanted to start a life. Kirk felt gore at being kept in the dark and a flash of emotion in his chest. Sadness for a mother who must remain silent. Regret not seeing all the signs. A dot. The next morning, Kirk returned to the set and saw Marissa getting ready for a scene close to the boutique lounge. When she saw him coming, she stopped, her eyes becoming wide with surprise. Kirk's chest became constricted. "Marissa," he murmured, "we must speak." Other actors felt the presence of Yandi, who lingered at a quiet distance, ready to provide support if necessary. Marissa's lips quivered as she looked into Kirk's eyes, and she floated closer, pulled by the electric charge in the air. She looked at the production monitors and muttered, "I tried to contact you, but I never intended things to turn out like this. Why didn't you call me?" Kirk inquired in a calm but sad voice as his hurt came to the surface. After swallowing, Marissa's shoulders sagging, "I was afraid. I wasn't sure how you would respond." Her vulnerability struck Kirk as a punch. He was afraid, just as he had been when he first heard about the file. "We may have handled this together," he continued, his voice becoming softer as they conversed. A little mob gathered. Carly read with interest and took a step ahead. "What's going on?" Her eyebrows knitted as she questioned, and Marissa paused before describing in shaky words how she found out she was pregnant, how Kirk's name appeared on every form, how she attempted to contact him via common acquaintances but was unable, how the actors exchanged shocked glances as she sealed the file in an attempt to gain confidence before disclosing her news. Left feeling conflicted as some expressed empathy for Marissa's situation, while others murmured about treachery and trust. But Kirk's eyes never left Marissa feeling angry and compassion. He touched her arm tenderly and whispered, "Show me everything," in a determined tone. Once they were in a more peaceful place, Marissa took out a tiny picture book from her purse and looked through it. Each photograph is a tribute to a secret existence, including photos of her child's first steps, birthday candles, and school recitals. "I thought I was protecting her," Marissa whispered, her voice breaking as Kirk's eyes pricked with tears. "However, I took away your time together." After closing the CD, Kirk gave Marissa a startlingly gentle embrace. He pledged to make up for lost time, and Yandi watched with a mixture of relief and cautious expectation. As the primary plot developed on screen, everyone around them halted, and the ensemble embraced Kirk and Marissa's new journey. Manufactured turmoil gave way to scenes of family meals, playground visits, and sincere apologies, to which fans reacted with overwhelmingly positive feedback, support, spreading words of joy and optimism. Kirk's hidden kid, which was once a rumor that threatened to ruin him, turned into a representation of tenacity, and the life may surprise you in unexpected ways. One thing remained constant throughout all the changes: the relationships we form survive even while secrets are hidden, waiting to be pulled into the spotlight. Yandi arrived next to Kirk, her face displaying anxiety as he left the stage, his heart still racing from that spontaneous sentence. Kirk's hands trembled as she led him to a peaceful area in the rear corridor of the studios where the sound of machinery ceased and crew members' conversations subsided. He took a cautious breath and then broke the wax seal of the caseworker's envelope, which was still sealed and weighed down with fear and promise. As he drew it out of his pocket, Yandi looked over his shoulder and read the name in clean type. Marissa Cole. She sealed the paper and unfolded it inside. Kirk stroked the letters with his fingers as if attempting to identify them, whispering, "That's her," his voice barely audible over the background commotion. Used touch to make sense of the discovery. Yandi took a quick inhale. The last cast member to join was Missa Cole. "I remember she was always quiet about her personal life," she said, remembering late night practices and group conversations. With resolution beginning to set in, Kirk nodded and gently folded the paper before putting it back in the envelope. "I have to talk to her," he continued. Yandi clutched his arm and said, "I'll be right there." They discovered Marissa during she was sitting on a folding chair at the corner of the soundstage during a break between takes, her head down, looking through her phone as if she was looking for solace in digital distraction. Kirk came carefully, so as not to scare her, and Marissa glanced up, her eyes blazing with astonishment, then a reserved calm. "I received this from the caseworker," Kirk stated gently as he handed out the sealed packet. "It contains the birth certificate for our kid." Marissa's lips quivered as she put her phone down and looked at Kirk's face. "I never wanted you to find out like this," she said, her eyes welling with tears as she failed to detect any trace of wrath. Kirk slipped down the metal bench next to Marissa, who asked in a trembling voice, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" inquired softly. "I was scared," Marissa said after swallowing and glancing down at her hands, afraid of the consequences. You were afraid that you wouldn't desire a kid that you were unaware existed. After she confided, Kirk's chest constricted and he put a reassuring hand on her shoulder, saying, "We could have worked it out." The air between them was heavy. "Together," he said quietly, "as soon as I found out, I wanted to be there for you both." With years of unanswered questions, crew members around them stopped in mid-step, realizing how serious the situation was. Kirk inhaled deeply. "I read your name in the file," he continued. "I must be informed at all times. How and why? I discovered I was pregnant shortly after you left," Marissa said, nodding and taking a trembling breath before continuing. She started by saying, "I attempted to contact Y by messaging common friends and leaving voicemails, but you were on that tour away from everything." Kirk squinted to avoid the pain of remorse. Marissa went on, "I waited. I hoped you would come to my door, but as the months went by, I realized I had to file under seal in order to safeguard our kid. I had intended to inform you after the season ended, but scheduling changes and narrative changes prevented me from finding the ideal time." Her tears now flowed freely, and Marissa's shoulders trembled as he reached out and brushed them away with his thumb. "I'm very sorry," he muttered. "I know." Kirk shook his head, his voice heavy, and continued, "And I'm sorry you felt betrayed. I'm angry, yes, but I'm also relieved that you had the courage to carry on." He grabbed her hand and brought it to his lips, promising to keep our kids safe. "We'll repair this," he said, adding, "I'll be there for every moment from now on." As Kirk and Marissa conversed, Marissa mustered a little teary grin. "That's all I ever wanted," she said. A small group of people gathered, and Dundee, Rasheeda, Scrappy, and Bambi all stopped to observe. With her protective instincts kicking in, Rasheeda came forward and said to Marissa, "We've got your back," in a kind voice. But ferocious, Scrappy nodded, joining family sticks. Kirk was reminded by the encouraging chorus that he was not alone. No matter how difficult the road ahead, it would be shared. The next day, the cramped room, illuminated by harsh fluorescent lights, was where Kirk and Marissa met with Yandi and the production's legal team behind closed doors. Ashley, Kirk's manager, made meticulous notes as they lay out the sealed file. The messages from Marissa and the chronology of events. Yandi observed Kirk's expression, pleased by his composed determination, and continued, "We need to control the narrative." In a professional tone, Kirk leaned in front. He forcefully said, "I demand sincerity, no more concealing. On our terms, we tell the truth." "We can write a statement for the cameras," the legal advisor said, nodding. She agreed and guaranteed your child's privacy. Kirk let out a sigh, relieving stress, and looked at Marissa, whose eyes shone brightly with appreciation. Meanwhile, rumors had already begun to circulate in the corridors, and within hours, social media feeds were ablaze with speculation. Who is Marissa Cole? Did Kirk just adopt? Beware of secret children. Supporters and shock-affected fans argued. #spread. #Team Frost. #Kirk and Marissa. #secret child. The flurry reminded Kirk of his reasons for insisting on meticulous preparation. He turned to Marissa after privately thanking Amber, the producer who assisted in setting up the private meeting. That evening, Marissa nodded and wiped away a stray tear as she murmured, "Let's do this." Together, Kirk appeared in front of the cameras in a manufactured interview environment, intended to imitate the confessional booth of the program. The lights were intense, but he liked the opportunity to address the audience directly. "I've always believed in being real," Kirk said, taking a big breath with Marissa at his side. "Even when it's hard, I want to share a personal story with you today. The mother of my kid, who was born 9 years ago, is present. Cole, Marissa." As Marissa extended her hand to grasp Kirk's, a whisper echoed through the crowd. "Our child's safety was our first concern. Therefore, we didn't disclose anything earlier out of worry. But we know this is a lot to process, but our family has always valued honesty and love." Marissa nodded and took a step forward, saying, "I'm honored to be your," with a forceful and serious tone, she said, "Mother, and I'm ready to welcome Kirk into our lives." The comments were filled with defamatory remarks about watching at home. Tears, "This is very true." Love triumphs. Feelings were running high, as despite some critics questioning the timing, the overwhelming response was one of support, as viewers watched Marissa's boldness and Kirk's vulnerability. No longer was the family split. The actors' camaraderie on screen demonstrated genuine ties. Of the next day, the company changed the filming schedule to incorporate sequences of Kirk going to Marika's house, eating their food and their relationship. Daughter for the first time. Kirk was prepared to give his kid a framed picture of himself and Yandi, as well as a stuffed animal off camera. He bent to give a bashful 7-year-old a heartfelt hug, and crew colleagues watched in silent awe as the genuine passion went beyond any stage drama. Unscripted tears, startled grins, and laughing were recorded on camera, and the director's handwritten notes served as a reminder to the cinematographers to let the scene to unfold. Later, Rasheeda gave Kirk a quick pat on the shoulder during a private cast dinner. Bambi added, "You did good, Frost," she murmured, lifting her glass in a silent toast. "Family is flawed, but you demonstrated what true family looks like." Kirk lifted his own glass and grinned. The small group, as the show aired the next week, they clinked glasses in unison, celebrating fresh beginnings and healing rather than gossip. Fans lauded Kirk's bravery, Mara's candor, and the show's genuine connection as ratings soared to all-time highs. Nod to contrived controversy, readiness to share a genuine narrative. Personal stories abound in online forums, where viewers discuss their own experiences of unplanned childbirth. Kirk heartily read these messages late into the night, knowing that the travel had been worthwhile. They included hidden reunions and the redeeming power of truth. In the days that followed, Kirk managed to mix shooting with trips to Marissa's house, school recitals, and birthday celebrations, festivities. With every successive scene, he got closer to the part he never thought he would play, not simply reality star, but Yandi, his loving father, was his rock, providing him with happiness and encouragement as they traveled through this unfamiliar area together. And while, as the show's creators started developing future plots centered on their expanding family, Kirk held on to a personal promise to never let secrets to cloud his most crucial connections once again. He lived for the unscripted moments of love that no edit could ever capture, even when the camera may roll for drama, ever capture. With the sealed file burning a hole in Kirk's jacket pocket, Kirk and Yandi walked out of the studio lot under the streetlights. The night air was thick, laden with the weight of fear and possibilities. Yandi put her hand in Kirk's and gave him a little squeeze. Even though her voice was shaking, she muttered, "We'll get through this." With his gaze focused on the shadowy horizon, Kirk nodded. There was a secret in that package that might completely change their world. It was made much more intimate by the mother's presence among their cast. That Ashley had set up a secret meeting with a network legal liaison, which Kirk sneaked into the next morning in a small office above the studio. Kirk established the envelope with its seal intact on the desk. Valerie, the lawyer, a calm lady, cleared her throat. "We've confirmed the document's authenticity." Silently, she said. Kirk sighed, a mixture of relief and apprehension. "So the mother of my child," he said, almost to himself. Valerie gave a nod. "Taking care of this is the next step. You must first hear Marissa's side." She clicked her pen on the file. On camera, with sensitivity. "We've made contact with her. She agreed to meet." Marissa waited backstage in a hushed hallway, phone in hand, practicing her response. It seemed like a countdown with every breath. She saw Kirk coming, Yandi and Ashley at his sides. The heart pounded. The sight of her softened Kirk's gaze. He said, "Thank you for agreeing to this." Marissa smiled hesitantly at him. "I didn't want to hide anymore," she said, answered. In a quiet gesture of support, Yandi put a hand on Kirk's back. The four of them entered a little meeting room, covertly rolling cameras to record the raw scene. Kirk pushed the sealed file in Marissa's direction as soon as the door closed. "I want to know everything because this confirms what I already suspected, that you had good reason to hide the identity of our kid." Marissa nodded, her mouth trembling. "Just after you departed for the wrap party in season 8, I found out I was pregnant. I attempted to contact you, but you were not there." She stopped and wiped away a tear. "I felt afraid of the reaction. I reasoned that I could safely approach you if I waited until I had a strategy." Kirk's throat became constricted. "I apologize. I didn't check. I ought to have scheduled time." When Mara opened the door, her hands shook, filed to display the actual document to him, replete with the caseworker, seal, and her signature. "In order to safeguard our daughter's future, I submitted it under secret Yandi.